Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between Russia and Ukraine. And we're going to start today on the western bank of the Dnieper River as Russian forces continue to attempt to hold back this massive offensive by the Ukrainian military against the Kherson area of operations. We can report today that over the last 24 to 48 hours, at least 2 battalion sets of the Ukrainian military attempted a breakout within the vicinity of Duchany in this area here. They attempted to move south from Duchany down towards Milov. And boy, I believe I am butchering that, and I'm sure someone is going to correct me. But it sounds like, again, 2 battalion sets, at least 2 battalion sets of the Ukrainian military, supported by over 30 tanks and 50 armored fighting vehicles, attempted to push down this main highway here in the direction of Novokakhovka. It would appear that that force suffered major losses in that offensive operation. It is reported that up to 20 tanks were destroyed, and quite possibly another 20 to 30 armored infantry fighting vehicles of the Ukrainian military were also destroyed, with the loss in excess of 100 Ukrainian military personnel. It is also being reported that the Russian forces have then been able to launch limited counterattacks within the vicinity of Duchany as well. Furthermore, we continue to see the deployment of Russian and Iranian produced kamikaze drones. Again, these are both Russian manufactured systems and Iranian manufactured systems, and we're starting to see those systems take a toll on both Ukrainian vehicles, tanks, armored infantry fighting vehicles. We don't believe that these systems are destroying tanks. It looks like they are damaging the tanks. But when these systems hit lightly armored vehicles, fuel supply vehicles, air defense vehicles, artillery systems, they do cause catastrophic damage, and they are being used in hundreds, if not thousands, by Russian forces now. So we're seeing a lot more use by the Russians, again, utilizing these kamikaze type drones, both of Russian manufacture and Iranian manufacture, against Ukrainian forces. Compounding that, we have received reports that Iran is now doing its own form of Lend-Lease. I mean, who would have thought at the beginning of this conflict that Russia would start receiving Iranian-made systems to assist it in this ongoing conflict? But that is what we're seeing. We are seeing Iranian, not just drones, we are seeing ballistic and semi-ballistic missile systems being transferred to the Russian military. The Ukrainian intelligence agencies believe that at the start of the war, the Russian army, the Russian armed forces, possessed in excess of 900 to 1,000 Iskander missile systems. The actual missile component that is launched by the Iskander system. The Ukrainians believe right now that it has about 10% of that supply remaining, just over 100 to 200 Iskander systems, missile systems, the actual missiles, remain in service with the Russian military. And obviously the Russians are producing more of these systems, but given how many they are using and the frequency of use, that supply is starting to run a bit short in compared to how many are being used. And that is why we're starting to see the Russians turn to the Iranians, which we know with absolute certainty manufacture some fairly accurate ballistic and semi-ballistic systems that are very, very comparable with the Iskander missile system. So we can anticipate to see at some point these Iranian ballistic missile systems start to come into play. They're very accurate. They can hit targets within 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters of the designated aim point. And much like the Iskander missile system, probably not, or we know probably not as big of a warhead as the Iskander system, probably not as advanced as the Iskander, but nonetheless, it is a direct continued supply by Iran to the Russian Federation in its efforts to continue the conflict against Ukraine. But that's where we sit today. We are continuing to watch the Kherson footprint very, very closely. Again, a Russian withdrawal from the western bank of the Dnieper River would be catastrophic for Russian forces. Would it mean an end of the war? Probably not. But it would have vast political repercussions both for the Kremlin leadership and just the outlook in the war in general. So that's why it is very important for Russian forces to maintain control of what it currently controls on the western bank of the Dnieper River. But we're watching and continuing to watch this very, very closely, and obviously we will have more very, very soon. Thanks for joining us today. More to come. And as always, have a good day.